Our buddy Jordan Schultz, NFL insider at The Score, he tweeted out that Lamar Jackson and Odell Beckham have had multiple conversations during OBJ's free agency about teaming up together and winning a Super Bowl with the Ravens, according to sources familiar with the situation. That's why I keep coming back to this. This is sort of to appease Lamar and try to get back on good terms with their quarterback, because the production isn't there to warrant the contract, and also the health with the injuries that Odell has racked up over the last 5-6 years is not there to warrant the contract. You just said Steve Bisciotti, he's made millions. He's way too smart to just do this. I don't see him falling victim to the PR campaign from outside sources about Odell Beckham Jr. I think this is something to get his quarterback back on track and back in the building.
Well, if he wanted him back in the building, why didn't he just give him the $13 million?
That's the question I've been asking.
I mean, why not just give him? I mean, look, what is the alternative, right? So let's just take it from a different perspective. If you're Baltimore, what's your alternative at quarterback? Okay, let's say, let's play this out. Let's play the game. Let's say the Colts make a deal with you and you get the 4th pick of the draft.
Yep.
You taking Will Levis?
I wouldn't.
Of course you're not to take Will Levis. I mean, I can't imagine anybody takes Will Levis. Will Levis is exactly the kind of guy that can lure people to thinking they got a really good player, because if it doesn't go the way you practice it with Will Levis, it's not going to be there. Now, it's hard to simulate that in practice. It's hard to do that, right? So Mitchell Trubisky, as much fun as I make about Mitchell, that's his problem. That was his problem at North Carolina. That's his problem at Chicago. If it goes the way we practice it, he lures your bag. He gets you right into your bag, and you got all those excuses. He got it all in there. Look at him. He did it this game. Well, it was scripted that way. To me, that's Levis. You can't take Anthony Richardson there, right? You can't, because if you take Anthony Richardson, you still don't know. You're taking an athlete, who's very erratic with the football, very erratic. And there's no way. So say you're Baltimore and you trade Lamar to Indianapolis, so you got the 4th pick. Who's your quarterback?
Well, hold on. What if CJ Stroud is available at pick 4?
Well, there's a possibility. I think there's some conversation to have about that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he would slip there. I'm not sold. What are we, April the 10th? I'm not sold that the Houston Texans are just completely locked in on a quarterback. I'm not sold on that. I think there's a longer game to be played in Houston. DeMeco Ryans got a 6-year contract. I think there'll be some organizational changes in Houston after the draft. I believe that. I think there's going to be some way. I'm not saying that people are going to get fired, but I think there's organizational the way they shifted things down there. So getting the 6-year deal, the long play. One thing about if you're DeMeco Ryans is you ain't getting fired after a year.
No.
Right? So
I mean, that'd be a lot of money to just be chilling.
Why not go 1-15 and get Caleb Williams?
Yeah.
Why not get the better quarterback? Why not rebuild the team, do exactly what Kyle Shanahan did in San Francisco, start slow and go from there? So, yeah, I mean, if Stroud was there, I think it becomes easier. Although Stroud's an interesting guy. Stroud is, that Ohio State offense is not pro-quarterback friendly, right? It's just not. I mean, look at the guys who've come from it. Fields struggles. Dwayne Haskins struggled mightily. It's a little bit too much of the coach involved from the sideline predicated. I think Stroud's accurate. I think he's got all those things. I like Stroud. I'm not against Stroud. I like Stroud more than I like Fields coming out, and I wasn't a Fields guy. But I would say this. I think, to me, if you're Baltimore, that might not happen. So where am I getting a quarterback if I trade Lamar? You're trapped. You're almost in and look, I don't think Lamar gets enough credit for this. He won 14 games as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Like, that shit is hard. That's not like, we're just dismiss that like it's no big deal.
He's 45-16.
We dismiss his one-loss record like it's no big deal. People just, why it is? It's people justify their draft grade on him. A lot of it goes back to that. A lot of it goes back to, we're going to justify our grade on him. We're going to justify why we missed on him. So they can go tell their owner, we missed on this guy. You don't think this happens, but it does. It happens on all levels. You recruit a 5-star in college, and you get some kid that you don't have to beat for anybody. Okay, let's play this out. Joe Burrow, Mr. Ohio, 3-star. Okay, Dwayne Haskins, 5-star. God rest his soul. I feel badly about his life. He's 5-star. Urban has no interest in Joe Burrow. No interest in Joe Burrow. This is fact. This is not Michael Lombardi making shit up. This is fact. He puts him on the scout team, makes him wear doesn't even give him a red jersey. He gets the shit kicked out of him. Kid's going to grad transfer out. And if Siano would have gotten the Tennessee job, he would have gone to Tennessee. But, of course, they had the uprising in Tennessee. He doesn't get that job. So, anyway, so he goes to LSU. There's no comparison between the two. But what happens to us in personnel is our bias doesn't end. We don't grade players from what we see. We grade players from what we think. And so this is what perpetuates it moving forward. And so everybody's sitting there, well, Lamar, he should have been a receiver. He should have been this. The guy's got, what, did you just say 49 and 14?
45 and 16 as a
45
starter.
and 16.
That's an incredible record. Like that's Tom Brady level. Like that's winning at that
Don't tell
clip.
me this is the greatness of the Ravens. Like, watch the freaking games.
Well, that's what the PR campaign will tell you.
Yeah, like watch the games. Like,
and I go back to, and sorry to cut you off, but in 2018, when they were starting Joe Flacco to start that year, they had just drafted Lamar Jackson. They're like, okay, but we want to bring him along slowly. Flacco starts playing poorly. The Ravens hadn't made the playoffs for, I believe, 2 or 3 straight years. It could have been bad for John Harbaugh and all those guys if they don't put Lamar into the lineup, and he also helps them win the division that year, going 6-1 down the stretch. Like he saved a lot of jobs, I think, in Baltimore.
And I think, to me, look, the kid is, again, he's being penalized for everybody's draft report. And people are like Neville Chamberlain walking around with their draft grades, when he had the Munich agreement saying Hitler's not coming. I got it right here, right? They're all walking around with their draft grades. Like they're saying like, oh, see, I told you so. I told you so. Mm-hmm. Like, that's bullshit. Like, watch the tape. Like, you drive to the stadium on Sunday morning and you're worried about this fucking guy. Now, you could say he's going to get hurt. Okay, great. They're all going to get hurt.
Yeah.
They all get hurt. I mean, but he's a hard player to defend. And if you built the team around him the right way, again, more under center, an outside-inside zone, big receivers, yards after the catch. Forget about vertical speed on the outside. He's never been a good 9-route thrower. He's been a good post thrower. He's never been a good 9-route thrower. I mean, so you got to understand where he wants the ball. So, and again, Odell doesn't fit. They could take all the snapshots they could talk. To me, Odell doesn't fit for that. I don't see Odell being an inside physical receiver because, look, the other thing about Odell, he can't stay healthy either.
Nope.
I mean, how ironic is that? Now, let's just put that in perspective for a second. They don't want to pay Lamar because he gets hurt. They got no problem paying Odell, and he gets hurt. Nobody's going to ask that question.
Doesn't make a lot of sense, which is why, and I've been harping on it, I think this is back to appeasing Lamar Jackson. Now, I'll walk down the road with you. You just talked about how, let's say they make the trade with Baltimore, they go up to number 4, and there's no quarterback there that they like. They take, let's say, a defender or whatever, one of the good defensive guys on the defensive line. Tyler Huntley's the quarterback with Odell Beckham Jr. And Huntley, I get it. He made the quote-unquote Pro Bowl. He's a solid backup player and will come in and be a good spot starter, but I don't think you're expecting Huntley to be your 17-week starter.
No.
That's not something that I think a team is expecting, or at least a team that's expecting to go to the playoffs, which is always the expectations with the Ravens.
Do you remember in 2019, that was the last time your man played 15 games in the league? That was your guy, Odell. He was targeted. Remember how many times he complained about he wasn't getting the ball that year? He was targeted 133 times. He caught 74 passes that year. Okay? So, can we please stop the nonsense that, we're not trying to get that Cleveland wasn't trying. Now, you can say Baker Mayfield stinks, and I'm not going to defend Baker Mayfield here. However, that being said, if it's Huntley, that 133 to 74 is not going to be that's not going to be good. Like, Huntley's not getting him the ball on that. They're not. First of all, they're not going to target Odell 133 times. So they must know something that I don't know and you don't know, that Odell, maybe they know no one's going to offer Odell and he's coming back to sign the tender.
Oh, you mean Lamar? Sorry.
Yeah. That no one's going to offer Lamar and he's going to come back and sign the tender.
That could be it. They could run it back for, hey, let's just patch things up for 2023 and let's go and see how this thing works. But we've talked about, if he plays on that tender, we're right back here again next year.
Yeah, what
do we do?
Look, when you go through when you look at the contract for the great one, your boy Kirk Cousins, which you don't.
It's not my boy.
Yeah, I know you don't have as many excuses for him as you typically do.
But the tape speaks for itself with him.
I mean, he signs a 4-year deal in 12. So he gets, in 2016, he gets $20 million guaranteed.
Yep.
He gets 24 guaranteed in 17. He gets 84 guaranteed in 18. He gets 66 guaranteed in 20, and he gets another 35 guaranteed in 22. So over his career, he's had $230 million, of which 229 are guaranteed.
Can Lamar call and say, Kirk, who's your agent?
Well, but this is the effect of staying on the tender.
Just playing it out.
Right. But see, nobody sits there. Everybody says, and Steve Bisciotti's right, I don't want to pay fully guaranteed contracts. I'm sure Minnesota doesn't want to pay fully guaranteed, but they did.
They did, yeah.
They did. You know, do you think the Rams really wanted to pay $57 million to Matthew Stafford for the next 2 years? Let's take lie detector test on that and see if they think they want to pay that. Like, come on. He's a stalwart of the organization. Yeah, like, okay. Yeah, they trying to trade his ass, and yet, they want to get away from the 57 too. So let's just be real. To me, like I've said many times, if the Rams weren't trying to trade Stafford, they should all be fired for malpractice. Because if they're not trying to win. That to me, instead of saying that's a negative, they should have stood up and said, yeah, you're damn right we are, because he sucks and he's going to get hurt.
Well, they can't say that because he's still going to be their guy.
I understand that, but I'm just saying you got to be proactive with it.
Yeah, they had to put out the spin out there.
But like Lamar, I mean, you're paying Kirk Cousins $229 million. Lamar, but again, it goes back to Lamar and when he came out and people's perception. And I told you I was right about Lamar. Look, he's no good. We all instinctively do that. It's like Josh Allen. I thought Josh Allen's accuracy wouldn't change. It did. Okay, but there are still times when his accuracy is a problem. But that doesn't mean he's not an elite player. That doesn't mean I was right on him. That means I was wrong. I was really wrong. But there are times when it shows up, right? You got to remove your bias up from it. Like, I was wrong on Allen. I was right to a degree, but totally the guy's an elite player.
And I think a lot of this is a lot of these owners who had teams that passed or said, why didn't we take Lamar Jackson? And then you got to have some sort of an excuse as to why you didn't.
Exactly right.
Got to justify it. It's all fascinating with Lamar Jackson. And now Odell Beckham is in this cocktail down there in Baltimore. We'll see how it all works out.